Okay, are we ready? All right. Okay. Let's light this candle. What happens when a 60-something working-class artist is deported because he can't afford to live where he works? This is his adventure and metanoia of escaping from a greedy, gentrified metropolis into the loving arms of paradise. Welcome to Hollywood in Hollywild. I'm Dave Thomas, and this, the first episode of the new podcast series, Hollywood in Hollywild, is titled Escape from LA. After 40 years of living in Los Angeles, I escaped. I had to. It was life or death. My decision to cut and run came from a vision of my death on the streets I'd walked and lived. Sounds overly dramatic, but I'm in the entertainment world. I know drama. You wouldn't know me, but you'd recognize my voice on radio, TV, the internet, narrations, documentaries, cartoons, ad nauseum. I am a professional voiceover artist, aka VO. I do other things too. I have talented hands. I can paint portraits. And I write and produce. Okay, stop. Just stop. I have a confession to make. Look, I know I sound like a VO guy. It's frustrating because this is supposed to be nonfiction, and my voice makes it sound like fiction. But I can't help it. You know, I'm programmed to sound like an announcer dude. And I recorded this like so many times that I'm embarrassed to admit it. Women love it at first, but eventually I'm as untrustworthy as any commercial voice about an unbelievable result. So, seriously, this is all real. This is the realest me I can do. And even now, I swear it sounds a bit overproduced. Is everything off? Okay. Well, all I can do is ask you, the audience, to remember, I guess, that it's not made up. And this is just the intro to all that stuff that happens to me, and really why I call it Holly Wild. Sorry for breaking the fourth wall. I won't do it again. Ever. I'm done. No, I'm done. Turn it all back on. In the last decade of 40 years of LA living, I'd moved once from the Valley to the Arts District. Rents were cheap and perfect for my studio. The downsides: live and work lofts or commercial property with no rent control, and landlords can charge what the market will bear. 2 years after my move downtown, people were paying twice my rent for 1,000 square feet. Concrete floors, a counter for a kitchen. It's a box with no interior walls or privacy. My old nemesis, gentrification, officially arrived. I'd see Bentleys, McLarens, and Land Rovers parked next to my cheap Fiat. Property value rose so fast, building owners made money on empty lofts. To say it wasn't artist-friendly would be a vast understatement. My epiphanic moment of clarity came while choking on toxic diesel exhaust. I was walking my little rat terrier at 7 a.m. and we had stepped out of the gate onto 6th Street. The produce warehouse across the street was noisy and moving at full tilt. My dog yanking my arm out of its socket to reach that first tree when I noticed that the crawling masses of tens of thousands of homeless in tents from Skid Row was now within 40 feet of my front door, along with the smell of urine and excrement. The man I'd seen yesterday, screaming in an expensive business suit, railing at the world's injustice while standing on the soapbox pile of his life, was now sleeping peacefully, tucked up against the red brick exterior wall. Yesterday, it was obvious he was evicted from wherever he lived with all of his possessions. Cappuccino machine, stack of stereo equipment, and a lot of other really nice clothes and stuff that looked like he'd lost an upper management position. Probably never even saw it coming. That morning, it was just him in a blanket. His belongings, nowhere in sight. His stereo, the nice stuff, poof, gone. He had a bag of clothes for a pillow, and his now filthy, double-stuffed, too expensive down comforter was wrapped tightly around him. I'm sure he wasn't aware he'd lost everything sleeping peacefully on the broken sidewalk. This happens regularly since the Great Depression of 2008. It is, has, or will dramatically wound everyone but the very rich. The reality of my age and his situation hit me like a bucket of cold water. I was 1 month, maybe 2, from being him. I barely pulled off rent a couple of times, recently over parking tickets gone to collection, or union dues, or unexpected car troubles. The immense financial depression had given people permission to do horrible things and act like heroin addicts, chasing profits like addicts with a monkey on their back. I was witnessing the end of the middle class in my lifetime. Corporations, insane for profits, asked everyone to do 3 times their work at 50% cut in pay. Again, celebrities and the rich were the only ones not affected. Even technology turned against me. Home laptop computers began recording sound good enough to convince everyone they could do my job. And my agents went from a roster of 100 guys to 3,500. Add insult to injury, celebrities routinely replace union-scale voiceover actors for millions. Worse yet, audiences have no idea that bad or weak voiceover performances on TV and radio are all million-dollar celebrities. My world unraveled in seconds. My last straw? Trump buying an election with blatant lies. His capitalism would happily watch me die, only offering help if I didn't need it. I could hear screaming klaxons. I was out of time, none on the clock, and I was playing through the shock of an injury in '08, half conscious, and didn't know I was playing until I saw the dead on stretchers being dumped on sidewalks in front of the stadium. The horror blotted out my real vision, and I couldn't look away. My art, my tens of thousands of dollars worth of studio equipment, my life, all on the street, at least for one night before it disappears, picked clean while my dog and cat cuddle next to me asleep on the sidewalk. I'd get my pension checks and mail via general delivery. I could hear a death rattle in my ear like a child's toy. I'd been homeless a year after moving to LA. To get off the streets, it took 6 long months. But how long would I last on the street as a 60-year-old man? 2 nights with all my stuff? I'm a tough old dude, but I can't stand against a gang of 3 or 4 hungry and homeless men. Hypothermia is real, even in LA. maybe I'd just fall asleep and never wake up. Or worse, I could be killed for something like my weed, a sentimental bauble, or my iPhone. I'd be instantly relegated from person to a statistic, then a number on a column, then added to a file, and finally stored in one of a million boxes covered with dust, never to be seen again. I could taste vomit in my mouth, and I decided I deserved more. A lot more. Obviously, I couldn't stay in LA, but I had no fallback. LA loathes old people. Hollywood, famous for professional careers that end in your late 30s, alone and in tears. In Hollywood, the only love you find is on the screen. My career is an anomaly because I still work past 40, far north. This wouldn't be easy, and I needed to move fast. The Depression made the new normal too expensive to hire a union VO. The landscape changed to a dystopian horror from one of my sci-fi books in a few years. I felt pressure like being 3 years late. I started planning and working towards my escape. I never gave up. Yeah, I'd mention my plans casually with friends, and it always came off sounding like something people say, but never do. But I stayed disciplined. I'd wake and be out of town going up the 99 freeway on Saturday mornings to meet a realtor at some rundown ranch in the middle of nowhere beautiful. Thousands of miles, up and back, sticking to my plan, keeping my eye on the prize, never giving in to the negative voice in my head that said I was fooling myself and smoking too much weed, and that I didn't really deserve it, and all those other degrading scripts that pour out of your brain while you're trying to achieve something hard or that hasn't been done. I made lots of lists, and I always gave myself credit for every little step closer. Finally, I did it. I found the spot and my offer was accepted. A house on 6 acres of pristine, clean country land with a seasonal creek. Come on. I packed in 2 weeks and was outie-fied, G. I shocked everyone in my little world announcing my departure. I had been a city boy for 40 years. Most people didn't think I'd leave, but my tenacity never let me down while searching for my silver lining. I saved money by eating rice and beans. That, and I hired a credit fixing company to clean off bad marks and a foreclosure. It took 3 years to get my credit clean and save 5% down. It was hellish, possible, and satisfying beyond the feat of pulling it off. It was a fitting end of LA living in the downtown arts district, not 10 blocks from where I'd first lived in 1976, as a stage manager in the backstage apartment of the Embassy Auditoriums on 9th and Grand. I was 21, and I met and got to hang out with people like the Dalai Lama. I got high and danced with the Nicholas brothers. I tripped on Timothy Leary and hung out with Jose Greco and my man, Robert Mitchum. People say I'm lucky. Truth is, I think it's because I repeatedly set myself up for it. My stress is nearly gone. There are no traffic lights where I live. Not one in the entire county. When cars pass, we wave like boats on a lake. I have very few moments of panic. I feel grounded, healthier, naturally happy. Work-wise, I still have to deal with Hollywood. whose very foundations are laid upon the throbbing pulse of stress. I have a mortgage and some hefty utilities until I get my solar system in. But my whole nut every month is covered by my small pensions. My agents like to see me 3 or 4 times a year, so I'm in Beverly Hills and downtown LA for most of my friends, and the best weed. So Hollywood, yeah, it's still there. But Holly Wild is home. This started 4 years ago as the impossible dream, inspired by the threat of homelessness in a failed system where the rich rationalize greed over the lives and love of people. Now I'm living the life my dreams made. We all are. I'm just enjoying it for the first time in my life. This new life is wilder than I ever imagined. My new rhythm just encourages deep observation. I feel stronger connection to the creative parts of my mind. And the great oak forest is full of deer. And yes, cute fawns with little white spots starting in spring. Coyote, gopher, chipmunk, squirrels, bobcat, bear, mountain lion, skunks, mice, possum, all manner of birds. Birds of prey, including eagles, great owls, rowdy turkeys, insects, frogs, scorpions, tarantulas, and rattlesnakes. This blog chronicles my adventures as the king of wishful thinking, after Hollywood and in Holly Wild. Come back and visit. There's lots to share. Points of view, feelings, dreams, problems, and solutions for living with my environment, reducing my carbon footprint, and, wow, becoming the steward of my land, protecting, nurturing, and loving this paradise that is nature. Hey, leave a note on the door so I know you rolled through. Let me know if you like this, and don't forget to check out the blog and other goodies like videos, photos, and links to other brilliant artists' work on our website, hollywoodandhollywild.com. I'm Dave Thomas, and this show was only possible because of the contributions made by the following brilliant artists: Mr. Joe Rudd, Eric Skirmahorn, Simon Cole, and a very special thanks to you. Wow, that was the first one. The music was great, right?